and thank you for your interest in the IPDA conference. Thank you also for listening to this brief recorded presentation. Its aim is to support anyone who might be interested in attending the conference to develop an abstract that they can present. The conference takes place in Birmingham between June the 28th and 30th later on this year, and all information about it can be found on the IPDA website, so please do go and have a look to find out more. You can find out about this conference. You can also find out about previous conferences and events that IPDA has hosted. My name is Catriona Oates, and I am conference chair for this year. I'm also chair of the IPDA Scotland Association, and I've presented at the conference several times before. I can assure you that the IPDA conference is very well deserving of its reputation as a friendly conference. There is a supportive and collaborative ethos that has become its hallmark. So I hope this serves as reassurance to dispel any reservations you might have if you've never attended before, but you would like to join us. Before I go on, I'd like to thank my colleague and conference chair predecessor, Lisanna Oberholzer, for sharing these slides that she used to lead a similar live workshop earlier this month. In this recording, we will consider what is an abstract, why do organisations call for them, how might you develop your abstract, and finally, where do you submit your abstract for our conference? Firstly, are we clear about what abstracts are? Abstracts are distillations of larger volumes of text. It's essential that they summarise a bigger document and draw attention to its key points, to the main ideas that this work contains. Generally speaking, a good abstract will make reference to the aims of the research being presented, including a clear sense of its purpose and the guiding research questions. It will explain how the research design and methods were chosen to answer these research questions. It should highlight the main findings from the research, not all of them by any means, but the key headlines from your findings should be prominent in your abstract. It should also give an indication of the conclusions that you may have arrived at through the discussion of your findings. So these are the main elements we would expect to see in a good abstract. The information in this presentation is generic to any call for abstracts. So if you're submitting to any conference, generally speaking, you should always make sure that you read the abstract guidance carefully. And I'm sorry if this seems like I'm stating the obvious, but it really is very important. It's also important that you check the association's website carefully, just for the finer detail about what they're expecting, about when it is, about if you're available, about how to go about making your submission. And all that information you'll find on the link here to our IPDA 2023 conference, and all the information will be there. You should also make sure that you read the guidance carefully regarding the formats and the range of submission types that are being offered and being accepted. And we'll have a look at that a little bit later. And then you should also check that the assessment criteria are fully met by whatever work that you submit. Generally speaking, these will be made available, so the process is transparent. So make sure that you use the assessment criteria to help guide whatever submission that you make. Why are abstracts necessary? The abstract's job is to highlight the relevance of your work to the conference theme. Your work will be evaluated for relevance and alignment with the theme, and you need to make sure that it speaks clearly to that theme. It will be reviewed and evaluated on how well it does this. This is important not only because your work needs to show it has addressed some aspects of the theme, but it also needs to fit in with the other work being presented alongside it, in order for coherence, but also in order for the organisers to run a successful conference for participants that meets audience expectations. Alignment with the theme is key. So, how do you work this out? Make sure that you understand the theme and what it is calling for. The theme in our conference is intentionally broad. You can see that we're making a call for work that is concerned with developing professional learning through collaboration and learning from others. There are three main hooks here, and these are professional learning, collaboration, and working with other professions. These hooks are intended to appeal to professional educators in a range of disciplines. Allied health, for example, social work and associated professions, education broadly speaking, including the full range of sectors and settings. So, this is our theme, this is your starting point, but what next? The guidance is clear and it's available on the website. Please do check. It's important to highlight, however, that there are no official conference strands for our conference. Instead, there are some sub-themes that might be helpful. We'll look at these in the next slide. Please note that you will submit your abstract on ConfTool. This is a platform that will allow us to organise and evaluate all the submissions. And also, please do be aware that we expect you to attend the conference and purchase your ticket if you are successful with your abstract submission. So, in order to help you elaborate your ideas, we've added some sub-themes, which you can see here. These should allow you to align your work in a slightly more granular way and make concrete connections with the overarching theme. It's also important that you check the reflective questions on the website that probe some of these ideas a little bit more deeply, if you want to think a little bit more about how you can make that important and crucial alignment. Also, please note that these are guiding themes. These are not conference theme strands. So these are intended to help you frame your work, and hopefully you can find some connection with one of them in your work, but you do not have to submit your abstract in alignment with a conference strand, okay? The overarching theme is what's important. Make sure that you know your word limit. Make sure that you know your word limit. The word limit is 250 words for most types of submissions, but it's 150 for some others, like, for example, poster presentation, I think. You don't have very many words, whichever way you choose. Please use them carefully. Make them good words. Don't use over technical or over complicated language. And make sure your words are error-free, make sure they're typo-free, and make sure they're well referenced if you're using references. Now, we're offering full transparency in the review process, and these are the criteria by which your work will be reviewed. You can see that there's a criteria relating to the theme, a criteria relating to your research questions, criteria relating to your research approach or design, criteria relating to the wider field in which your work is located, and a criteria relating to the contribution that your work is making. If it meets these criteria, you will be invited to present. If it doesn't, you'll be informed that you've been unsuccessful this time. And we'll have a look at how these can be applied in the next slide. So here is a sample abstract. You can see that this abstract meets all the review criteria in one way or another. And if you look at the legend at the top right-hand corner here, the criteria have all been color-coded. And you can see where each one of them is represented in the text of the abstract. So, for example, if we were to look at the criteria of how the work is located within the wider field, how it speaks to other debates and conversations going on in the wider field, then the text highlighted in purple shows us where it does that. There's some references to some scholars, some contemporary literature, and some contemporary policy. So come back to this slide and pause it and have a good look at it and see where each one of these criteria are met within this abstract. I'm sorry to be rushing, but I've got a 15-minute time limit on this recording tool. I hope this gives you a clearer idea of how you might respond to the review criteria using your own words and creating your own proposal. Once you've written your abstract and you've all the necessary information to complete your submission, ConfTool, as I mentioned before, is a platform that we will use for you to make your submissions for the conference. You'll find a link on the conference website, which I've previously directed you to, If you haven't already created an account in ConfTool, you'll be asked to create one. Please make sure you've got all the necessary information to hand before you start the submission process. For example, if your presentation includes multiple authors, you'll need their contact details and email addresses. And crucially importantly, make sure that you respect the deadline of March the 12th. Okay, so this is the information on ConfTool that you'll find on our website. So now it's over to you. It's your turn. How can you make sure that your work aligns with the guiding themes? Can you highlight your key focus and draw that out in your abstract? What authors and other theories might you consider? Is your research question foregrounded? Is it clear? What methods have you used to answer your research question? What are the key findings, the headlines you can present? Have you got a working title? You can start with. So finally, please do take the plunge and have a go at writing an abstract for our conference. Good luck with your writing. I'm looking forward to meeting up with everyone in Birmingham in June. Drop me an email if you've got any questions at all. My contact details are on the screen. Good luck, everybody. Hope to see you in Birmingham in June.